Hey you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I'm your host, Cameron Hawkins, and along with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. I've been playing a bit
We're
too much.
Because we were talking about something earlier. I was like, that sounds terrible.
Oh well, okay, yes. Overall, yes, we do have a bit of a house problem that needs to be addressed. That is not fun. But that was in the last like 15, 20 minutes. So the rest of the day has been good. It was just
Okay.
that was just a nice little right before we had to record. Like I need to clean up a bunch of water. I don't know. I hold on.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just thought I was just like, wait a minute, you just told me about this pretty crazy
Yeah.
story.
No, that's a headache. We have a very unfun, basically dishwasher liquid is just draining into the bathroom. Uh, so it does not smell great in there right now. And I'm only discovering this in the last like right before we recorded. So I don't know what that's going to take to fix and cost, but whatever. That's future Kevin's problem. Right now, otherwise the day has been good. How about you, Cam?
Uh, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right, all things considered. My computer was having some weird fan noises yesterday. I sprayed some WD-40 on it, hoping that it will fix the problem. And it almost started trying to act up just a second ago, and now I'm starting to get worried because we have
No,
to record this podcast.
don't
But
don't speak it
hopefully,
into existence. There's no
yeah,
hope.
I know. Worst case, while you're talking about something, I'll just like try and spray it down again really quick. Probably not the way I should handle that, but it is what it
You
is.
know,
It
band-aids
is what
help,
it is.
even if it's
Yeah,
temporary. Band-aids help.
exactly. Um, but yeah, this is party chat, and we are going to pretty light news week. Nothing too crazy. But next week and potentially even later this week is going to be very, very crazy. As we're talking about a potential, there's rumors that there's going to be a Switch Direct before the
Switch 2 Direct.
Switch 2 Direct next week. So we might actually, depending on what news, if that does happen, first off, and depending on what news is announced, if that does happen, we might have a special episode later this week going over everything that happened. So that next week, when we talk about all the Switch 2 stuff, it's not just like a 3 hour long episode where we're just talking about the Switch presentation. So that might happen. But before we get into the news for this week, we're going to get through some housekeeping. If you've been enjoying our show, you can, if you could, please go to the podcast platform of your choice. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps with our growth and exposure, and we'd really appreciate it. And if you want to support us financially, you can go to our Patreon, Party Chat JRPG Podcast, where we have a bunch of different tiers where you get different rewards, including getting our weekly episodes a day early, a monthly Q&A episode, which we're going to be recording sometime this week, as well as Campfire Catalog, which we are finally recording over this weekend, and it's on Chrono Trigger, which I watched. I watched one of your videos this week, and you were talking. There was a Steam sale video. I watch like all your videos, Kevin. Like I consume all your videos, and you mentioned. I knew that you loved Chrono Trigger, but I didn't know it was your favorite game of all time.
Oh yeah, it's my number one.
Oh,
I
okay,
got like
okay,
I mean, look, I'm bad at favorites, and I'll always give different answers depending on when I'm asked. But like, I've
sure.
tried because that's such a common question. Like, oh, what's your top game of all time? That kind of thing. Um, I've tried to prep like a top three, and Chrono Trigger's consistently the one that I put in that top spot. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So
cool.
we'll talk about
Um,
that some more in the campfire catalog. Where are you right now? Because I know you're making a mad dash to finish in time.
The last time we talked, it was the last time I played. I've been playing a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles X, which we'll talk about during what we've been playing. But I'm currently like right before Mount Woe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right
You
now.
got a good bit left. It's totally doable.
Yeah, it's totally do like when you said, "Oh, I have like 2 to 3 hours left if I don't do like all the side quests," which I've talked to some people since then, and they've said like I don't think that should be considered optional. Like
Yeah, I
in
actually meant to clarify that later. Where I was like, I should really tell you that the side quests are actually extremely narratively important. Like,
okay, so it's like trails. It's like trails side quests. Okay,
yeah, it's like you should
so
really like you can skip them, but you should really do that. Like, let me put it this way: literally, the thing that people think is a reference in this show to Chrono Trigger, the campfire, that's part of those side quests. That's not. That doesn't happen
really,
automatically. Yeah, you have to do one of the side quests to get that
oh,
thing.
okay, okay,
So,
interesting.
like,
Okay,
that's
yeah,
yeah,
okay. I mean, I'll do it then. I'll definitely do it. I was like planning on like beelining for the ending just so I know I beat it
sure.
before the podcast, but now that you're saying this, I feel I have to.
Yeah,
But I also wanted to play as much Xenoblade Chronicles X as I could before the podcast, because the past few weeks I haven't really had like something major to talk about.
sure.
And speaking of Xenoblade Chronicles X, shout out to Nintendo for sending a code for that. Um but yeah, and then lastly, go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson and give Kevin a subscription over there, or subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, as he's trying to get to 1 million subscribers before the end of the year. But we're gonna hop right into the news, and I think I think like objectively and subjectively, this is the biggest news story for this particular podcast
Okay.
this week. Trails in the Sky first chapter seemingly has a release date for September. This went up on the game went up for pre-order on Video Games Plus, and it has the release date, and it's supposed to be in September. Um, 27th, I believe, is the
Yeah.
right
I've
date.
I've seen a lot
Yes.
of questions about this because Gung Ho themselves
25th.
haven't said anything, right?
No, there's been no mention of it, but it says release date September 25th. And that does check out for Falcom. Like they
Sure.
like to release games in that September, October time. Um, and so I was hoping it was going to be during the summer, and then we were going to get Kai, which we still don't have like an English name for.
Yeah. I mean, they
More
haven't
so
even like
around the
talked about an English release for that yet, right?
no, that hasn't even been announced. No.
Yeah.
But I know that NIS is like really trying to catch up with the localization of those games, because I think they know that like Falcom is like one of their bigger it's definitely like their biggest non first party published like games for sure. Um and so yeah, I'm excited about this. At this point though, I'm like I want to see an extended gameplay video. Like I the trailers, they get me hype, they get me emotional, they get me excited, but I want to see like the moment to moment gameplay of this remake, and I'm hoping that, we will get that soon, but we'll see. Um and you're still playing through the original because you want to play the original before the remake.
Yes.
I know this is not what you've been playing, but like how far have you
Not.
have you gotten any more
No.
progress?
No.
No.
I
Okay.
look, while we were still in this kind of unsure phase of when we were getting it, I was definitely not feeling like the pressure yet. Because I do want to finish it before the remake releases.
Yeah.
Um, so if it's going to be late September, I got 6 months to work with, uh, from today. But yeah, I have not made more progress yet. I plan to. I just need to catch up on some other releases. I think looking ahead at the next couple months, I think like late May through June is a lot of stuff I don't care as much about. So that might be my window to be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair. Because I was saying last episode that I'm in a similar, like, kind of a position where I'm probably not going to be able to play a whole lot for the next few months, and so like it's really just like Expedition 33,
Yep.
Lost Soul aside. I do want to play South of Midnight, but that's not a JRPG. That's not an Eastern title, but I'm excited for that. And then Xenoblade Chronicles X, like
Which
again, we'll
by
get into
itself
it.
is so many hours. Like
It's such a big game.
that's a
It's
whole
so
investment. Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, excited that we have a seemingly a release date for this game, and I just can't wait. Just can't wait. Next story, very very unexpected, but Atelier Yumiya is doing a collaboration with Tekken 8. We don't know in what way it.
This is the second collaboration, right? I think we talked last episode how they did one with Tails. So they're just announcing
Yes,
like all, which I mean that they're both Bandai, right? So like that makes sense.
yeah, both the collaboration titles are Bandai. That is yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. We don't really know what it entails, but there is a pretty like funny trailer of Yumiya holding like a blue, like kind of like their version of like the slime from Dragon Quest. It's like this blue slime that looks like Heihachi, and he's and they're like doing the volcano drop scene basically from Tekken, and it's just like that's funny. It's cool.
That's
I
great.
don't know. It's probably gonna be some sort of like costumes, but cool.
Um,
So that's a thing that's coming.
that's a thing. Speaking of collaborations, I'm gonna be honest right now. I did not read the run of show, so I don't know what all our news stories are. Did you list the recently announced Like a Dragon collaboration?
I did not. I thought I was missing something, but I did see that, and that is great. There is a uh hilarious Among Us trailer where it's just like the red imposter or the red astronaut. I don't know what they call him again, but they look like Kiryu, and he's singing Baka
Yeah.
Mitai, and like it's really great,
Yep,
really
and
great.
they're gonna do a whole. I think it's a limited time one. I don't think it's like permanent costumes, but there's gonna be like a week where you can do Yakuza characters. It's like three different Majimas, Kiryu. Uh, I forget the full list right now, but it's like the major characters and a couple extra.
Are you going to cop? You don't you don't really play Among Us, but are you going to cop?
I played it a little bit during like peak COVID times, like a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
did, when it blew up. Probably not. I'm sure Christine's gonna dive in with a bunch of her friends that do all the shipping stuff because like how could they not? Um,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's only a limited time thing too. Like it's not gonna be like the costumes are available. I think it's like you can just play during this time span, and that's when those are there.
Cool. Uh, Um, yeah, next story. Pokemon TCG Pocket is getting a new themed booster set. So it's only like one pack for those that
The smaller
play the
one, yeah.
game. Normally, like the big sets have two packs. This one has one, kind of like Mythical Island and Triumphant Light, which was the last set. And this one is called Shining Revelry. And it's supposed to come out next or this Thursday, like the day that your public is listening to this, the set should be out. And it's seemingly like focusing on like shiny Pokemon, or at very least like different colored versions of
Yeah,
Pokemon.
I think that
Like
was
on the
the
front,
thing is that they're bringing in those other color options now because even more things to need to pull for. I also love how unintentionally Triumphant Light and Shining Revelry are like just a little too similar in name scheme. Like I realize those are totally different words, but it's like those are some of those are synonyms.
that's fair. That's fair. I Yeah, I'm currently at the point now in this game where I have finished Genetic Apex. I don't really need. I got like the Mew promo or whatever. Um, I didn't complete Space Time Smackdown, but I only need one card left. I need a Heatran. If you have a Heatran that from Space Time Smackdown, you're listening to this podcast, at me, DM me on Twitter or Blue Sky, and let's make a trade so I can complete that set.
I legit might
Um,
actually. I'm checking right
yeah,
now.
no, genuinely, like, please, because there was a point where we were in the Discord and we were talking about it. We were like, hey, does anyone have these? Um, and then in Triumph, I still have like maybe about 10 left in Triumphant Light, but I'm really focusing on Mythical Island because I have the set complete, but I don't have the Celebi emblem. And to get the Celebi emblem, you need the immersive Celebi art,
Yeah.
which I pulled. And then you need the 2-star Mew EX card. And I just like the past 2 weeks, I've put all of my packs to trying to pull this one card so I never have to worry about the set ever again. And I still can't do it. I still can't do it, and it's driving me crazy. And you can't trade for it. I have to pull it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, all that's used
Yeah,
person above are not allowed to trade, which is annoying.
yeah. So I've been having a bad time in TCG Pocket recently. But yeah, Shining Revelry comes out the day that this episode drops, March 27th. And yeah, cool. Next story, Phantom Brave, The Lost Hero is coming to Steam on April 25th. We did a review for Phantom Brave. I played a good chunk of that game on the PS5. It's a pretty good game. If you're looking for like a new tactics type game to play, it's something that's worth checking out. You don't really need to play the first game to play this one, being a sequel. So if you've been waiting for it to come to Steam specifically, I think it's, worth checking out. Uh, this is something that I thought pertained more for you and also to a certain extent me just because like I'm interested in playing them. But the first three Armored Core games are now available to play through PlayStation Plus Classics. Um,
Nice.
so that's Armored Core Project Phantasma, and Armored Core Master of Arena. Kevin,
So to be honest, those are actually like that's a blank spot for me because I got into the franchise at the PS2. Which I will say, when they very first announced that this was happening, I had like oh man, we're getting Armored Core 1, 2, and 3. Oh no, wait, we're getting all the PlayStation. Okay, cool. That's cool too, because I do want to check them out. I've heard good things about the originals, but also like they're the originals, so they're a little bare bones
yeah.
compared to what came later. Uh, but I also want to know. Like I'd like to experience that firsthand. So I'm excited because I've kept up with the franchise basically since 2, and all of my blank spots are like the PS1 releases. Oh, and then like there was a PSP game that I think I tried for like 5 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, I've not played any of the Armored Core games. I know that there's a very dedicated fan base to those games. I know Mitch Dyer, who's one of our patrons, and like you people may know from as an IGN alum, he loves Armored Core, and so it's a series I've always wanted to get into. And Armored Core 6 looks
Oh,
awesome.
6 is pretty good.
Like yeah, it looks like my kind of game, my kind of action game. I just like never got to it. So, but yeah, so you can play it if you have a PlayStation Plus premium subscription. You cannot buy it a la carte, sadly. But there are still plenty of really good games that are really only available through like that whole classics catalog. That you can buy a la carte, which is really cool. But just not those. And then the last story, really quick and easy. Expedition 33 has gone gold. We're almost there, baby.
It's
We're
coming.
almost fucking there.
We're almost there. Top anticipated game of the year. Let's go.
Yes, yes. Well, it's top 3 for sure. It's on the podium for sure for me.
Because for you, what it's like that Lost Soul aside, because you've been waiting for
And
that since like
Trails, yeah.
yeah. Oh, and Trails. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I feel conflicted like for each one of them because the first one's like, oh, Trails, it's like a remake of my fifth favorite game of all time. Lost Soul aside is like I've literally waited for this game since college. I graduated college in 2017. So I've waited almost a decade for this game and it's finally coming out.
That was like
Um,
my vibe when Final Fantasy 15 finally released, because I was like, I remember seeing the Versus
that
13
too.
trailer like right after graduating high school, and like it was how
I
many years
was
later?
I was 12. I was 12. I was 12. I was in middle school and I was just like, this is going to be the greatest game ever. I've said it on social media. I've said it here. Like Square Enix will probably always be my favorite developer, but I will never forgive them. I will never forgive them for Versus 13. Um, it like
What
I
could have
still
been?
think what could have been just
What could have been?
masterpiece. Um, anyway, yeah. So and then Expedition 33 is just like it just looks so refreshing. It just looks so cool. And it just checks all the boxes for me when it comes to gameplay. It's like, oh, turn-based combat, check. Oh, QTEs, check. Like I'm a QTE guy. Like people, I remember when I got older, like when it got to like the PS3 kind of and the PS3 and Xbox 360 era, like so many people were like shitting on QTEs, and I was just like, I thought we liked QTEs. I like QTEs. So I've always liked QTEs.
I think it's application of them because there were definitely some games where they got like, why is this way? I think there were games that like this is a whole other topic sometime I think to dive into like
Yes,
QTEs and what is a good QTE versus,
sure.
you know, I don't always need to press circle to open the door, like tapping it repeatedly.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm talking more in like action
Yeah,
games.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
for sure.
Uh, but yeah, I love QTEs, and Expedition 33 just looks absolutely stunning. I can't believe like that, like just how small that team is and how they made something that looks this good, and like the cast is just absolutely stacked. It
Ridiculous voice cast. We got
yeah,
Clive, Daredevil, and Golem
yeah,
like in a lineup. Like what's
and
happening?
Shadowheart,
And Shadowheart.
Shadowheart. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, that's the news for the week, everybody. Probably the quickest one for in the podcast history.
Ah, close. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have that actually marked down, like the quickest news segment?
No, I don't know our quickest one. I just know we usually end up anywhere between like 25 and 45 minutes, like depending on how in depth we go
Yeah,
or like
that's
get
true.
distracted. And we're sitting at 21 minutes right now.
Yeah, super quick. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get into what we've been playing. I have been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I think that game is really fucking good. That game is so good. I I am I this okay. I still I want to preface this as like I think that Monolith Soft had like a bigger budget in their games or like better like hardware for their games, I think that they would be top 3 game developer in the entire industry. Like just absolute like kings
I
at
mean,
what they
the
do.
quality
Cuz
they've been able to pull off on like the
with
limitations they have, because like this was a Wii U game, and it looks better
yeah,
now than it did back then. But like still, like for how it looked on Wii U was ridiculous,
yeah.
and
And
it looks great
it's
on
not
Switch.
even yeah, I'm so sorry for interrupting. It's not even the visuals, it is just the scope, right? Cuz when people before I didn't play any Xenoblade Chronicles games until the Switch. And it was Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And I really liked, how vast it was. And like I guess I just like really didn't like think of how impressive that was at the time because it did have a lot of technical issues in a way that this game does not. Or like Xenoblade 3 really didn't. And so it kind of just took away. It's just like, oh yeah, you're really like pushing the scope of like this map and things like this, but if it's not technically sound and it doesn't run super well and look super good, that kind of aspect feels weaker to me. I don't know if that is like the right call for me to make, but that's just how I felt. But like that, and when people talked about how good Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was, a lot of people kind of like talked about it for like its story more so than like the world. And but when I played that the first time, I'm just like, dang, like it is really impressive that they were able to do all this on the Wii, right? And in this game, just it feels even more so. Just how big the map is and how it looks really good for the remaster that it's gotten. Um and the combat system is so good. It's not as good as Xenoblade 2, but it is really, really good. Um, did you play Chronicles X on the Wii U?
I did, but I didn't really stick through with it, and I didn't get super far in, and a
Mhm.
lot of that is just kind of haze in my memory now. Like I'm effectively going in fresh with this one, which I haven't started
Ye
yet. I just ordered a physical copy that should be getting here in a couple days. So yes, I'm excited.
yeah, so I don't know going into this, I don't know the how many, like, big changes, if any, that were made from the original to this one.
Mhm.
I'm completely ignorant. Uh, but the combat is really really cool where you have two weapons. You have a physical like a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. And I like the ranged weapon stuff more just because it feels one of the things that I've always kind of had a criticism with Xenoblade is that like combat kind of felt slow because it's MMOE.
Yeah.
But when you have a gun, it doesn't feel like that because you're shooting a bunch of bullets. It's like I'm doing more.
Yeah, there's more things
Um,
happening on screen, even if the damage is still timed the same way. Of like,
exactly. And so you have like you have the different arts, right? Kind of like in other Xenoblade games, and they're all color coded. So like a melee art will be orange, a ranged art will be yellow, an aura, which is like normally some sort of like dance that like helps with buffs or healing or something like that. That's blue. And then there's like debuffs, type abilities, which are purple, this type of thing. And so basically when you're playing doing these battles, you the main way you like heal like the party and you like kind of bounce off each other is that you have someone will like call out to use this type of art, and the chat box will be that color. So if someone's like, "Oh, like hit him with a melee attack," and it'll be in like an orange box, and then you use an orange ability, and it heals both members that are contributing to that. And then also like kind of in previous Xenoblades where they do like kind of like the circle and you kind of have to hit the sweet spot. You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
QTE aspect, kind of. Yeah, timing.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
QTE type aspect. There's like a morale bar, and the more that you do a perfect, your morale will go up, and then more often will those things happen, and it just makes it so that like you're kind of bouncing off each other more often. And so it's really cool and it feels really good. Uh, and the other thing is that like you have these certain arts will have like TP or like I don't know if it's I think it's called tension points if I remember correctly. And so each art that has that uses TP will use 1,000 TP, and then if someone dies, you have to have 3,000 TP to be able to revive them. That is like the one thing that I'm kind of like not worried about, but curious about going into the like back end of the game when you level up more and like things might get a little bit more difficult. Is that it feels like you can't revive people remotely as much as you could in previous Xenoblade games. I
Right.
remember when I played other Xenoblade games, I was able to like basically get people up almost immediately, and because you have a maximum amount of TP that you can have, and so like if you use it to get someone up, it's probably going to take a long time for you to be able to get someone else up if someone else dies. So, it's cool. The combat's really fun. There's a class system where you're the only character that can like switch classes. All the other characters, at least as of right now, only have the one class. But there's like three branches. One like, and seemingly they all kind of focus on the same stuff through my eyes. It's more so like what type of weapons do you want to use? Because if you have like you go to I went through like the top branch where they kind of made it seem like it was like, oh, this is the kind of the balanced branch, good for beginners type thing. And I was just like, I like having a sword. I like having an assault rifle. I'll just stick with this. Um, but yeah, and then once you get to rank 10, then it splits into two, and then you can choose like, oh, do you want to be a samurai gunner or this other class? And I was like, oh, I'll be the samurai gunner. And then but once you like finish all these classes, you're encouraged to just go to something else.
Yeah.
So you're going to eventually just cycle through all the different type of weapon types, and it just like makes the gameplay more fun because you're kind of after every so many hours you're going to basically have a new loadout.
Right.
That makes sense. So um my main issue, I have two main issues so far. Um, the first one being, and this might be just because I've played 3 Xenoblade games at this point, 4 if you're including Torn Country.
Yeah, two of which came out after this one did. Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this game is just super tutorial heavy, and I'm not saying in the sense of showing me screens of like this is how you do this, this is how you do this. Like that I expect. It's more of the story stuff that's like how long it takes you to be like, "Oh, you're a blade." Like you've joined this organization to help New LA and things like that that it's just like I feel like I've played this game for almost 10 hours already. Why are you showing well, why are we still doing this? And granted, part of that is because I was exploring, right? I was out doing stuff and I wasn't like mainlining that entire time. But still, I was just like, dang, are we still like introducing new things? Um, but it's not a big deal, but it was something where it's just like, okay, like I get it. I want to get into the story stuff.
Yeah.
But I do think they onboard the the world and like the lore of like what's happening. I think it's pretty interesting. Uh in a short sense, it's like there was this alien war that was happening around Earth, and like all of the humans try to get got onto this giant ship called the White Whale and try to basically escape. And then they end up crashing on this planet, and so uh this new city called New LA has this organization called Blade, and there's these different divisions of workers that do different things. And so like, but when you travel through the world, you'll find like treasure, and the treasure is normally like some sort of debris from the ship. You
Mhm.
are like you're like gathering all these like resources that you're gathering are like from the ship that crashed. And it's like that's really cool. Like that's really interesting. And I want to learn more about that. But then there's also like these sites where you probe minerals to that you need to like buy weapons or upgrade weapons and things like that as well. So like the kind of that those kind of aspects that they introduce, I really like, and I am excited to learn more. I just think that like the how long it took to get all that going was just like the cutscenes were just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
No, I think that's part of why I fell off the first time with Wii U is that it was a while before you got to what felt like the meat of the game. Like it's very setup heavy because it is so much like not to say there isn't a traditional story, but because the main character is like a silent avatar style, it feels much more focused on that kind of building the world out sense and the exploration. And there is a main story to experience and get through, but it's not the same way as like, the mainline Chronicles games, which are a bit more traditional RPG story structure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's definitely an interesting story and world there. Uh, it's just we just need like a little bit more time to get there. Like I like the characters that have been introduced already. Um, and I'm sure you already know this, but like the multiplayer stuff is like completely optional. Like you can play this entire game single player
Yep.
if you want to. Um, and so that's cool as well. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. This is definitely a game that I probably see myself playing slowly but surely over like the next like 3 to 4 months. Uh, but it's a really good time, and I really can't wait to play more of it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to dive in. That's probably my upcoming weekend plan, assuming it gets here in time.
What have you been playing, Kev?
A lot of Assassin's Creed. I
Hmm.
went for the other big open world, tons of hours investment title, which not a Japanese dev, but I mean it's in Japan this time around.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
got that going for it. I actually have finished the main story and a lot of the content. I played probably too much this past week, to be honest. The the Ubisoft formula, man, especially for these later
It's
Assassin's Creed
good.
games. Well, it's good, but it's also like it's built to be uh difficult to stop, not just simply because like, oh, it's so good, but because it's like, well, this one little side objective that only takes like 5 minutes. Let's go do that. well, now I'm near this thing on the map, and that takes like 5 minutes. Let's just go do that. So like outside of doing the big story missions, there is so much like it's really interesting. I'm very happy with the game overall. Like I like it a lot. I think it's the best of the RPG era of Assassin's Creed. Like I think they really dialed in the right way of like it's still big, but it's not nearly as massive as Odyssey, which is like too big,
It
way too
was
big,
way too big.
way too big.
Way too
For
big.
I looked this up recently while talking to some people, and I might mess up some of these numbers off the top of my head, but to put it in perspective, Skyrim. Let me show you this real quick. I feel like Skyrim's like the thing a lot of people think of when they think of big open world game, right? Like that's like a good size. Um, Skyrim is roughly 14.3 square miles. Uh, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is the largest one and probably one of the largest maps in history, aside from some other extreme examples, is 90 square miles. It's huge. A lot of it's ocean. Anyways, by comparison, I want to say I think Shadows is like 20 square miles or something, or like 30. It's much smaller, but there's a good density to it. But it's really highlighting me to as well. Just like I've played enough of these where it's like you kind of see it where I really enjoy Assassin's Creed games, but they're also games I'm not sure how much I actually want to praise them. Like like so much of it like preys on a part of my brain where it is just that like yeah, just do one more thing, get one more thing in real quick, and some of it is legitimately good. Like I think the castle infiltrations, I think the stealth in this game is fantastic, but then there's also like well you got to get your knowledge points, so go to this temple and pray to 3 shrines, go to this place and find 2 items that are just laying around somewhere in this search zone, and it's just like I don't what's actually fun and engaging about that other than it's another checklist I need to mark off. You know what I mean? Which is something it relies
Yeah.
heavily on. Um, so there is a bit of that bloat that I think is just sort of part of the Ubisoft formula of like giving players enough things to check mark the boxes of while they're wandering around a big open world area. But to, go back to praising a little bit, uh, I think one of the things it really succeeds at is a problem that was happening in the last couple RPG ones is that like stealth didn't really feel that interesting or good. Like there just wasn't
Yeah.
like Valhalla brought it back a little bit, but it was still like you don't need to. Like there's no reason to. And that's still kind of the case here with Shadows because if you play as Yasuke, you just wreck shit. Like there's no you are a battering ram, you are a tank, you are just literally bulldozing your way through castles, killing dudes left and right. And if that's how you want to approach it, you just play as him and you have a great time doing that. If you play as Naue, you can like do a lot of toe-to-toe fighting if you really want to, but you're giving yourself more of a challenge than you need to compared to Yasuke. But she has all these really useful and interesting stealth tools. You have ways of distracting enemies, ways of redirecting, ways of silently taking them out in multiple different methods. Whether you're using the traditional hidden blade stuff or throwing a kunai, that kind of thing. Uh, like it this is the most stealth oriented an Assassin's Creed game has felt to me since like before the shift in genre, as long as you're playing as her. And I think that's a really smart move in that like if you enjoy that, if you want to play a stealth game, if you checked out this series in the first place because you wanted to do stealth stuff, here she is and it's great. And if you don't care about that and you just want to fill out the map and kill things left and right, play as Yasuke and have a great time. um yeah, like overall, I'm very happy with how this one turned out. I don't necessarily see it taking like tons of awards or anything, but like the polish, the world design, it's fantastic. I think it did overall a really good job of just refining stuff from the other RPG ones, and then just learning to scale back just enough. Like it's still a huge world, but way more mentally manageable than like I mean, I start up Odyssey or Valhalla, I see the map size, and I immediately roll my eyes a little bit and go, maybe I don't want to play this right now. Like I'm already tired seeing the size of it. And I didn't
Yeah, no,
have that reaction as
sorry,
much
go
this
ahead.
time.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. I do like I I understand to a certain extent where you're coming from. I think that Origins and Valhalla specifically are like really really good games.
I enjoy them, yeah.
Like and I think that I just love Assassin's Creed. I've played every Assassin's Creed outside of Mirage and now Shadows. But not for any reason outside of I just haven't taken the time to do so.
Yeah, it's been a fun
Um, and I just like I Assassin's Creed is a series that I will always play the next game. Like
yeah.
I
No, it's
it is. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead. Sorry. No.
I was just like, it is just like kind of earned my loyalty that way, kind of like Pokemon has, where like yeah, like I really did not like Odyssey when there was a lot that on paper should have worked for me and it didn't. I really didn't like Assassin's Creed 3. I think that's like one of the most disappointing games I've played that I anticipated in my life. But then also like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is one of my favorite games ever. Assassin's Creed 2 I played last year and it holds up really well. Um, Black Flag is great. Rogue is incredibly underrated. I think people discredit like do not give Assassin's Creed the amount of credit that it deserves. Um, I think that some of its criticisms are totally like valid, but I think that people kind of underestimate that a new Assassin's Creed game is going to 9 out of 10 times be very good.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it's because Assassin's Creed specifically and Ubisoft a little bit more large. I feel like it kind of became like the AAA franchise game in a sense. Like it has all the good and bad things that come with how AAA management, I think, encourages like certain gameplay design approaches. Where some of it works out great. Like again, I think the polish in this game is great. I think playing it on PS5 Pro, it's beautiful. Like the world design, everything is fantastic. Um, but they also have their whole weird Ubisoft storefront where like that's kind of tied into it and pushed a little heavier than you kind of want it to be. Uh, there's going to be a little bit of that kind of slightly buggier launch where you're gonna every now and then catch something floating or a random animals T-posing, and it's one out of the like thousands that you've encountered through the game. But those are always going to be the things that stick out in people's memories. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that yeah, like it just in a lot of ways, like a lot of the conversations we've had that people are just having in the industry constantly about like whether or not AAA scope is actually a good idea or not. I think aside from Mirage, which was intentionally presented as a smaller side game, Assassin's Creed kind of stands as like a huge example of like big company with lots of budget makes very big game. And for a while, it was a yearly release. They slowed it down eventually once we got to the RPG era, but that's also because they ended up making their scale so much bigger. Um, so like I get it. I see where people come from because I also like the series a lot. Like it's one where I go back and forth, like love hate kind of, where I know I'm gonna pick it up and I know I'm going to enjoy it and I'm gonna have fun playing it. But there's also gonna be this part of me that's maybe a little more critical. That's like, why am I enjoying this so much when there's like this wrong, this wrong? It's like junk food to me a little bit, where I'm like, there's so much I could like bitch about this game that bothers me, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna soak like triple digit hours and not stop because I'm enjoying myself at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is like the whole junk food mentality I think is valid it is comforting. It's a comforting type experience where it's just like, oh, you know what an Assassin's Creed game is, you know what you're going to get out of it. And yeah, it's probably not going to be your new favorite uh Assassin's Creed game, but even then like I feel like every time a new Assassin's Creed game does come out, I see people being like, "This is the game. Like this is the Assassin's Creed game for me. Like this
Yeah,
is the one that finally clicked."
for
And
sure.
yeah, and for me, like that was back during the Ezio games, and like, and then I again, like I just literally saw someone being like, "Man, I don't, like these RPG Assassin's Creed games like haven't done it for me, but for some reason, Shadows is nailing it." And so I think it's perfectly fine to have that feeling of just like, yeah, Assassin's Creed is comfort food. It is that game that it is a reliable franchise where you know that you're going to enjoy yourself at the very least, but you may also like fall in love with the game.
Yeah. And there are some people who do like swear by the RPG style ones, right? Like there's a lot of people that'll be like, "Oh, I wish they went back to the older ones." I've made that argument. Like I enjoy these RPG ones, but I really wish there was more of the older style because I also think there's less of that type of game out there. Like I just like I have other games to scratch my open world itch, Give me more of like the little more focus that we had pre RPG era. But even then, I've seen plenty of people where they're like, "Oh, my favorite one is Odyssey." Like I like a huge
Yeah.
game. Give me something that I can soak this many hours in, and like I kind of joke to myself a little bit sometimes that it's progression quest. Like it's just like give me the new piece of gear, give me the materials to upgrade my equipment. I'm just going over this cycle of making sure I have all my stuff. But like some people really eat that up, and I think it's also a big one for people that are kind of the respect my time types, but not in a focused way, but in the like give me hour per dollar. Because I mean, you can play this a long time. Like especially, God, Odyssey. Some people, I feel like the people that loved Odyssey are the ones who are like, "Oh, I played that for like 2 years. Just like put in an hour every day, and slowly make my way through."
Yeah, I think it was during COVID where I finally like sat down and kind of I didn't brute force my way through it, but I was just like, okay, I need to get this done. I need to like see this through. And while again, my opinion for that game really didn't change a whole lot, I still think Cassandra is like a great
Oh, I love
protagonist
Cassandra.
and one of
Yeah,
the better assassins. And I love Greece, but I just think that like the game was too big, zero stealth. I always compare like Assassin's Creed Odyssey to being like Ubisoft's The Witcher 3. Like
yeah. Well, I
that's
mean,
what
that's
that
entirely
game.
what they wanted, right? Like that was the goal.
Yeah,
Like, and that
yeah,
still is, I think, a little bit. Like, again, I think they're learning how to bridge the gap between wanting to make Witcher 3 but also trying to please the fact that this is a game literally called Assassin's Creed and it's supposed to be about stealth, right?
yeah.
And I think that's part of why Shadows is clicking for a few people is because, again, thanks to that character split and how they handled it, it really does feel like a better balance. Like it's still ultimately more so the big open world RPG approach, but this is the closest it's felt to the older games
Yeah,
since
because it's
making
letting
Remake.
you, yeah, because it's letting you be do that pure assassin experience with Naue. Um, yeah, cool. I want to get to it eventually. I don't know when that's going to be, but I want to play that game. Uh, but now we're gonna get into our topic of the show for this week, and kind of spurring off of last week's conversation, where we wanted to talk about what we want from the Switch 2. Like, what games do we want from the Switch 2? Like, features, things like that that we feel are important. We feel it's relevant. It's like relative uh, with the presentation next week. It just makes a lot of sense to just kind of keep on talking about what the Switch 2 what we want, our hopes and dreams, some predictions, maybe, things like that. And I mean, for me, just starting off, the biggest thing that mattered to me, it has already been answered, and that's backwards compatibility. So like that was like the thing where if if the Switch 2 was not backwards compatible, I would have been furious. I would have been out in the streets.
Yeah,
Um,
I do question a little bit. Like, I agree. Like, I would be very upset. I do wonder. Like, I'm not going to say that that wouldn't impact sales, but I do wonder how much it actually would in a way that like would really hurt the bottom line. Because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, like that, like they would never like get rid. Like, if it's not backwards compatible, why even get it? Like, because it's going to play all the new shit. And if there's a new Mario Kart and Zelda, and those are great and awesome, and the system's still affordable as it is, PS4 not supporting PS3 didn't make me not buy a PS4, and that systems did well. Um, but yes, I'm very happy that it's back compat. Like that's ultimately, of course, the better solution and what we would want out of it. And it, I mean, honestly, it's great for anyone that's this late to it or is just hitting the age where they can buy their own system. Like, congrats, you can get a Switch 2, and regardless of how many games come out at launch, you already have a massive library of great stuff to pick up and play.
yep, yep. The Switch 2 is starting out with the greatest console library of all time. Like it's and so already worth buying with that alone. Um, I I want to ask this now while it's on my mind, and and I think this is something that we probably could have gotten to later. But what do you think the price is going to be
So there's all kind of
with
debates
everything
about.
in mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of arguments about it because one, there's always arguments about it. No matter when, people are going to have reasons to say for one price point or another, and then you throw the extra headache on right now. That is what is happening. Like talking about it in the U.S. specifically is a headache right now because I don't know how much tariffs and other things might end up impacting this. If Nintendo ends up being like, oh, we don't know how volatile this market might be, let's actually make a little more off each sale. Um, my gut reaction, my gut instinct is 400. I
I
don't
agree.
think it's going to be the three. I don't think it's going to be the same price as the standard Switch. I think it'll be more than an OLED. I don't see them going. My mind is between 400 and 450. I don't see them hitting the $500 price point. Like,
Oof.
I just, that's where you get into like, not that it is directly competing with, but you get more direct comparisons to like home consoles and such, and like Series X and PS5. Like, I think Nintendo would want to keep the price point low enough to where it's still undercutting those options, even if it's more than like a Series S, whatever. Um, and even more importantly, actually keeping a healthy gap between it and PC handhelds. You have PC handhelds that can easily go for, you know, 500, 550. And I while I don't think the Switch, has to beat out those things, like I think the name power of Nintendo and their first party library is going to do enough of that already. Especially keeping it relevant in a lot of like larger family market. I think Nintendo's always benefited from undercutting price wise what a lot of the other names are pushing out.
Okay. How much is a base Steam Deck? Do you know
Let me
off the
double
top of your
check that
head?
real quick. So if we're assuming brand new, we're not going to go for like a refurb or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you get a regular Steam Deck, the lowest one is 400 now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
because
for the original model, not OLED. I think that's 256. Yeah, 256 gigs LCD display is 400. So basically, if Nintendo wanted to make sure their system was as cheap as like the most accessible PC handheld there is, which is the Steam Deck, 400 meets that.
I think that if you were someone that's just okay with playing games on PC and not caring about like consoles and like or at least PlayStation or Xbox, and you're just willing to wait till PlayStation games hit PC, then yeah, I think that a Steam Deck and a Switch are really the only two handhelds that you or like just systems that you need.
Yeah,
Um, and so, but on top of that, do you think the storage is going to be 256 as well? Do you
God,
think
I
they're
hope
going to
so.
match that?
I think there were rumors saying that we were at least not going to be getting like the current Switch approach, which is what is it, like 20 gigs in the base one, and then the OLED's more, but it's still pretty small. Um, I think rumors,
Crazy,
huh?
which is crazy that was the thing.
Yeah. How much Nintendo didn't care about storage at launch. I mean, given this was 8 years ago, but also like digital games meant you needed to expand like eventually. Like, even if you were sticking with physical carts, like DLC exists, digital only games exist. Like 20 gigs just does not cut it. And that's, not including stuff like save data, which is already going to eat into that. Yeah, I think rumors were putting it at 256. That's definitely one of the big questions I think a few people have, is whether or not, how much storage is going to come with, and then are there going to be options, right? Because that's the other thing is it going to be another single model approach at launch where it's like, this is it, this is the Switch 2, done, one price point, one SKU, call it a day? Or is it going to be like, get the one with more storage, get the one with this or that? I think one SKU is what Nintendo's going to do. I think they like that simplicity. They have experimented with multiple before, like Wii and Wii U had that deluxe, or Wii U had the deluxe bundle thing, where you got like a stand and more storage, and it was black instead of white. Um, I think overall, though, Nintendo just wants like, here is the thing. This is the Switch 2. Buy it, call it a day.
The only thing I would want, which I don't think is going to happen because I think we would already know about it, is if we got a second color, like a black color and then a white color or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's
Um,
potential room for that, and we'll see. Like, there were rumors saying that we would have monochrome, like black and white, and then potentially like a Mario Kart edition. Um, that sounds a little bit like reaching to me, and that's one of those things
yeah,
where it's like, this guy said this on Reddit, and it's like, okay, cool. Why do I believe it? Um,
yeah.
we'll
I
see.
don't I don't I don't see them doing like a limited edition type Switch 2 at launch.
Yeah,
But also,
close by.
considering how successful the Switch was, like I would be like, why not do it?
Yeah,
People are gonna buy
I
it.
mean, it also depends on what special edition means. Like a lot of the early Switch special editions were pretty bare bones. It was like, oh, the Joy Cons are a different color, and there is the simplest of prints on the back of the system. Sometimes you didn't even have a thing on the system; it would just be a thing on the dock. Like they really cut corners a little bit on special editions. So like, it could just literally mean it's red, and it's like, oh, it's the special Mario launch edition. It's red. Like done.
And I would be a sucker. I would be a
I would
sucker.
too. I would too.
I, I'd need it. I'd need it.
Yeah, I hope there's more color options right away because like that was something that always felt a little missing to me to the Switch. Like I know they kind of had it because there was the gray or the red and blue neon Joy Cons, but like even though I understand why it wasn't as popular with a lot of people, I loved how Switch Lite was bringing back the lineup idea of like different colors, different designs. Like I like that. I like the vibes of the kind of older, more colorful era of Nintendo, and not just like it's another black system. Yay!
So one thing I want to talk about is the rumored slash expected new 3D Mario. I have two questions. One, do you think it's going to be like an Odyssey 2, or do you think it's going to be like a brand new type of game that's centered around a new mechanic? And my second question is, do you think it's going to be exclusive to the Switch 2, or do you think it's going to be a cross-gen title?
I think exclusive to Switch 2. That's just my immediate.
Really?
I don't think Nintendo cross-gen normally only happens with Nintendo when like they were working on it for the previous system and then time just took long enough that the next thing came out. I mean, that was kind of the case with Breath of the Wild, where that was going to be a Wii U title, and then they were basically given a year to be like, "Hey, guess what? By the way, you need to actually get this working on our new thing now." I don't remember if it was a year, but it was a very tight window to suddenly adapt to a new platform.
But
Um, but
but there's been first off, it's been 8 years since Odyssey,
yeah,
and I feel like over the past 3 or 4 years there's been ongoing talk about a new 3D Mario that just kind of never came. So do you not think that they like started that off working like for the Switch and then decided to make the jump to Switch 2?
I think that is a possibility.
Okay.
But I'm personally leaning more towards the idea that this is something designed from the ground up for the next system. Especially if the
Okay.
point is to be like the launch title for it and you want to really showcase like what, a reason to get the new system. Not just in terms of like the idea of making it exclusive so people can't just buy it for regular Switch. More so the idea of like, no, this was built from the ground up, intended for Switch 2 power levels. We're not trying to put into account an 8-year-old system that was already underpowered at the time. Like, this is made for this system, like, period. That's how my mind would read it. Look, is there the chance that yeah, this was originally going to be a original Switch game and they decided to, you know, push it later and turn it into a Switch 2 thing? Yeah, sure, that's a thing that can happen. I don't know enough about the ingoings to like confirm or deny that.
Oh, of
Um,
course. Yeah.
but that's usually why they would have a cross gen, right? Like that's kind of what happened with Twilight Princess. It's what happened. It's happened with Zelda more than anyone. um, but my gut reaction would say Switch 2 exclusive. Um, as
Okay.
for style, I I lean towards something new. I feel like, especially if the goal is to have it be a Switch 2 exclusive, having a new branding right away, because they haven't really like they've done direct sequels before, but it's usually within the same system, like we got with Galaxy and Galaxy 2, for instance, Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2 for SNES. Like usually when it's a new system, I feel like they try to give a new branding and identity for that given console. If it's a cross-gen thing, then yeah, sure, an Odyssey 2 could make sense. Um, but I lean towards like again, I think Switch 2 exclusive, and I think it's going to be a new thing, a new pitch.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I feel like if there was an Odyssey 2, we would have gotten it.
Yeah,
I think that it's more likely that we're getting something new. What that looks like, who knows? Because it's Nintendo. But I do agree with you there. Um, Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War remake. Is it happening?
it
Are we
better
gonna see
be.
it next week?
I hope so. Yeah, or will we see it this week at this supposed surprise Switch that direct? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah, I want that to happen. That's one that could be cross gen if it's not just going to be kept purely as a first Switch game because supposedly that's just been in the works. Like again, never officially announced, but like there's been all kinds of talk and rumor for the longest time that they were working on something, and yeah, I really want that game to be real. And I would like to play it. I will say, because I knew we were going to talk Fire Emblem. Like, come on, we're a JRPG focused podcast, and we're going to talk Switch. Got to talk about Fire Emblem. Um, I will say, as much as I do want a 4 remake, there is a part of me that's also very ready to kind of see what like the next proper mainline looks like. Because we had like Engage is weird, right? Like Engage was kind of pitched as an anniversary game, and I did like the combat in it. I did not care as much for like its writing or the character designs. But the combat was great. It was very reminiscent of some older ones. And Three Houses, while yes, mainline and like a big one, it was also another experimental one, right? Where they added the whole calendar system and did this whole kind of vaguely persona-ish type thing with passage of time and navigating the calendar. And so there's a part of me that's very curious what like a new mainline Fire Emblem looks like. Like, do they tap into that calendar thing again? Do they go for an entirely different approach? Do they go for something that is maybe a little bit more traditional, but it's just polished up by being a brand new game? I'm just very curious, like what a proper new entry would look like at this point. Um,
Y-
but also,
yeah.
a
It's
4 remake
interesting.
would be great.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talked about it before on a separate episode, but we haven't gotten a traditional Fire Emblem game since Awakening, and I think that it is now time for intelligent systems to give us something traditional. Because I, even though again, similarly to we were talking about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Fire Emblem Three Houses on paper should have totally been my shit, and it wasn't. Like I I I couldn't. I wanted the thing was like I wanted to get to know all these characters, but you can only dedicate so much time to a group, to a select few of them of this massive cast in a single playthrough, and I was just like, no, dog, that's not what I want, and I don't want to play through this game 3, 4 times to be able to experience that. Um, and on top of that, like just some other weird choices that they made just from gameplay, like removing the weapon triangle
Yeah,
and things like that. I was just like, what, that felt odd to me. Um, and so yeah, I really want a traditional Fire Emblem, and I would really love it to be Genealogy of the Holy War because I haven't played it, and I would love to. And yeah, and on top of that, port those Ike games, baby. Port those
yes.
Ike games.
Please
That's what I
duology it or something. Just like bring them
that's what I want
over.
more than anything. That's what I want more than anything is
I
to
mean, like
port those games.
yeah, I have mixed feelings on Radiant Dawn, but Path of Radiance is so good, and I honestly the dream for me, right, is either duology or they actually do some kind of heavier remastering and like like Radiant Dawn just gets a little tweaking, um, because yeah, like those games are so damn good, and like I understand why the series blew up after Awakening, but there is some quality stuff with those games that came right before it.
Yeah, and I could totally see Nintendo being like, "Hey, we're just going to do Path of Radiance and we're going to see how this performs and then we'll do Radiant Dawn or whatever."
Sure.
Because like Radiant Dawn, I care less about because I still have a Wii U, so I can play Radiant Dawn if I get a copy.
Right.
I am not against getting a Wii copy of Radiant Dawn to play that game, but Path of Radiance is a different story because that game is way more expensive than Radiant Dawn.
Oh yeah.
So I would really love if they just like ported Path of Radiance. Obviously, a duology would be preferable, but just knowing Nintendo, like, oh, we could definitely sell these for $60 each. Like, why would we not do that?
Yeah.
And
They
that's
make weird
another.
choices sometimes though, because it could be something where it's like GameCube games are coming to Nintendo Switch Online. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is one of them, and it's like, okay, you're not going to sell it, but you'll make it playable on this service that I have to pay yearly for. Neat.
Yeah, and they also did multiple games for Advance Wars, which granted a little bit more niche, but still like you guys probably could have sold those games for the same, separately for the same price, and people probably would have bought them. Um, but yeah, and I think that if they did do a Fire Emblem game on like this year, I think it makes a lot of sense for that one to be cross gen,
Yeah.
because that is a more niche title, and that will just cause more sales for that game. Where people that couldn't get a Switch 2 for whatever reason, but really want to play Fire Emblem, they can still play it. Because they're the more guarantee purchasers, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
While those that have it on Switch 2 can play on the Switch 2. So I think that makes a lot of sense for a cross-gen release. But yeah, just give me a new Fire Emblem, because I,
Yeah.
I I would like to play that. But I also need to play Engage. So
And again, like it would make sense to be cross-gen if it was a situation where like this game's been ready or at least been worked on for as long as it supposedly it had. I can't find the exact term right now, but basically one of the reasons why I think I talked about this on one of our previous episodes. The reason why we think 4 remake or at least some other game has been in development for a long time is because a lot of the later Fire Emblem games have used project codes where it's iron and a number, and we're missing one. We skipped over a number uh,
yes,
between Three Houses and Engage, and a lot of the logic or assumptions, at least, is that something else was being worked on, but got delayed because of COVID. Engage was prioritized because Engage was meant to be as part of an anniversary. So it's like, oh, there's actually a specific year we want this to drop in as close as possible. So we're going to get that out. And then this other game just got put on the back burner, which would also make sense for it to be a remake because it's not adding any new characters. It wouldn't affect Engage's like list of roster at all. Um, Plus, Engage did like highlight Sigurd a little bit, which is one of the main characters of 4. So there's kind of this logic of like, were we supposed to have 4 remake? And then it made a lot more sense why he shows up really quickly and is like given a little more face time along the lines of other very popular characters. 4 is also just very big in Japan, even though it's not as we haven't had the chance to play it here. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of signs that point to why like a 4 remake would make sense, and cross gen would absolutely make sense to me for that.
yeah. There was also rumors that it might be. I think it's Blazing Blade or maybe Binding Blade. One of the two. I know that that was also kind of uh going around as well. But I
Binding would be
hope.
neat because we never got it. It's always been weird
Mm,
how because so Binding Blade is 6 and that's with Roy.
yeah,
Blazing Blade is 7 and that's a prequel where you play as Roy's dad and other characters. And so it's like it's always been weird that we got the prequel and never the game that it's supposed to be tied to. Um, so yeah, that getting a remake or at least like finally translated and brought over would be neat.
yeah. Whatever. Just if you're remaking something, remake something that we have not been able to play out here before.
Agreed.
Um, Are there any other IPs in particular that you want to talk about that you're hopeful for this year
This year. I
or
mean, there's
the near
my
future?
yeah, I mean, look, I have to at least bring it up. It's not going to happen, but I'm never going to stop talking about it.
Oh, Kid Icarus.
No, Golden Sun.
Oh, Golden Sun. Oh,
I
yeah,
would
that's not
believe
that's
Kid
not
Icarus
happening.
before I believe Golden Sun.
Yeah,
And both of those are very unlikely. But yeah, I want them to do something with it, man. Like I just it doesn't even
it's
have to
not
be
gonna
Camelot
happen.
at this point. Just hand it to someone. Like just give someone that's got like the pedigree to just do something with this IP because it doesn't make sense to me how it's just sitting there completely unused. Like I get it if Camelot themselves aren't interested. It's been years. There's probably been staff changes. It might just be the kind of thing where the original dev team does not have the interest in doing it, which is fine. But then maybe let's just see if this IP could be, used elsewhere. Soft reboot. I don't know, something. I think there's some really fun, interesting things that Golden Sun did on its own, like mechanically, that even if it wasn't a story continuation, I just want more of that. And yeah.
So, as someone who has not played Golden Sun and needs to play those games still,
Yeah.
I'm looking at like what this game's kind of, the presentation and things like that. How would you feel about Grezzo doing like a remake of the original Golden Sun or something?
Um, I wouldn't want them to use the same like visual style they've been using for the Zelda games. Like I could see it
Hmm.
kind of, but I think I would want slightly different proportions. I wouldn't want quite as like doll like as we've been seeing for,
Sure.
or quite as chibi, you know. Um, I'd be willing to see them take a whack at it. I like what Grezzo has made. I mean, I think Echoes of Wisdom was like a fun game, and that was more of their own actual project, start to finish, rather than being like a remake. So I think that there's clearly a sign that they can make good stuff. So yeah, like I'd be down. Um, I just want something with this IP. Which yeah, maybe remake is the goal. Maybe they try to just bring back the originals in a new form just to like test the waters. But
And you've played all three
yes.
Golden Suns? Okay, okay. And they're all three of them are worth playing?
Three's debatable. But part of the reason why the series is not around anymore is because three did not get received well. It didn't sell well, and even the fandom was kind of like, this ain't it. I thought it was
Okay.
fine. I definitely don't like it as much as the first two. Like the first two are absolutely superior. Um, what's really painful about it is that not only is three like not as good as the first two, it ends on a very big cliffhanger. Like there's a clearly a setup for like, okay, now you gotta get it ready for the next game that never is gonna come.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Next week, do we see Super Smash Brothers?
No.
Okay.
I think that's a little farther in. I don't think that's this year. I think that's like a. I mean, look, who knows? Because like I probably should have researched this. What was like the dev time on Ultimate? Because Sakurai didn't start working on another project again until what, late last year? When like he retired the YouTube channel?
So those videos were like still going out like after he was already done
Yeah.
with them.
He
Like
recorded a
so
bunch in advance, yeah.
I would think that he's probably been working on that game for like 18 to 24 months at this point.
24 seems like a maybe it's been 2 years. 18 months, I believe. Yeah. I even then, if it's
But I'm not yeah.
yeah, even at
That's
2 years, I don't see it being something revealed and released this year. Um,
I don't think it's going to be released this year.
but revealed.
But
Like a name drop or something. A little
a
teaser.
reveal. Yes.
I don't think so. I think that's gonna. I think we're talking about the next Smash in like 26 or 27. I don't see it happening just yet.
Cuz here's the thing, like I know that he's done it before where he says like, "Oh, this is my last one and I'm tapping out." You know? But he came back for Ultimate. He could not be doing Smash.
Oh
He
yeah.
could be doing something else.
No, I've actually posited the theory that what if he's actually working on Kid Icarus? Like I brought that up in a video recently because like I do wonder that.
But my thought process is like, if I was Nintendo, I would want I feel like Nintendo knows that people know about how precious Smash is to Sakurai. That I would if that is what he is working on, I would want that in the Smash 2 presentation or the Switch 2 presentation because then people are just like, "Oh, got to get a Switch 2 immediately because who knows when Smash is going to come out and I want to be ready for it." You know that like
Yeah,
that type of thing.
yeah,
That's
like
what I
let
would do.
people know kind of thing. Yeah, I
Yeah, just let the people know like, "Hey, it's coming."
yeah. I mean, if we get that, I feel like it'd be something very minor. Like it'd be akin to when we
Oh,
got
very minor.
it'd be akin to when we got Metroid Prime 4, where it was literally the title logo, and then we didn't see that game for an entire life cycle of the system. Uh, so like sure, like I guess there's a chance of that happening. I don't see it happening, but like sure, maybe there is just like a name drop of like Smash Brothers Giga. I don't know, whatever they want to call it. Like whatever the next one is. What's bigger than Ultimate?
Yeah, I don't know what they'll call it. Honestly, I think they may make it simple and just call it Super Smash Brothers again. I
Super
think
Smash
that
Brothers
like
for Switch 2.
yeah, no, just like Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I think that's what just like all they should call it. Um and I if I'm being like, you know, in my opinion, I do not think that is actually going to happen. But it would be really cool.
It
It'd
would
be
be
really
cool.
cool.
No, it'd be cool. It'd be cool. Like, I mean, okay, look, like in terms of games we could see happen, because we're kind of opening that door a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we already talked about 3D Mario, and I think that is a thing. I feel like that's going to be the big name drop to point to. We already know Mario Kart 10 is a thing happening. Um, we don't know more details about it, but I assume we're going to learn more about it at this presentation. Like that's going to be a focus for it. Um, do you
I
think
think Fire Emblem is going to be there.
I would agree. Yeah, especially if supposedly 4 Remake's been in the works as long as it has. What are your thoughts on something Zelda related? Because we're not going to get a new main line. We're definitely not getting
No.
a new main line anytime soon.
Tear
But
Yeah, we got Tears and Echoes. It's just been too recent. I think it's too recent. Unless it's Wind Waker. If it's a
yeah,
Wind Waker port,
yeah,
which
another remaster or whatever port update for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, maybe. Yeah,
yeah, and I don't know if the Switch 2 presentation is the place to do that.
maybe. Yeah, it depends. It depends on if those titles are cross-gen.
I think it'll be cross-gen.
Yeah, it would make sense to be, unless they really want to drive home like these are the 4K versions or whatever. Um, yeah, I, it's just like Zelda's such a big IP. I feel like there should be something, but obviously that with what releases we've had, that relegates it to either ports, remasters, or some kind of very specific side game thing.
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors, just something like another
Y-
collaboration, maybe.
Yeah, because Grezzo did Echoes of Wisdom,
Yep.
which I mean, and there were rumors for a long time about the Oracle remakes,
Yep.
Oracle Ages, Oracle Seasons, but I thought Grezzo would be doing those.
Yeah.
But it seems like that isn't the case. So is it a different company that's doing it and it does exist? That is like the one instance where I would be like, okay, yeah, maybe something if it's just like they just gave that to a different studio. They
Yep.
were like, yo, you killed it with this remake. Now we're gonna have you make a new game, and then we're gonna have a different studio do these games. Um, I do think I know it's super left field, but I honestly like wouldn't be super surprised if we did get a new Super Mario RPG.
Interesting. I mean, I would love that.
Here's why. Here's why. Because one, we haven't gotten we recently got what 2023 was it Super Mario RPG? We got
23
the
for
port
RPG and then 24
for the
for
remake.
Thousand Year Door. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the remake of Super Mario RPG, and then Square and Nintendo have been super tight.
Super tight.
And that I think that it it's not an impossibility, and I think it's actually like has a good chance.
So you're positing not only would we get a new Super Mario RPG, but that it would be a Square Enix developed title.
It would be in collaboration to some degree with Square Enix. I don't know if that means that Square is going to be developing it, but I think it's going to be um in this hypothetical, I think that Square Enix would be directly involved. Yes.
Yeah, I mean something we've talked about for Square Enix, right, is that their year ahead is currently very blank. Like we know Dragon Quest 1 and 2. There's going to be another 14 expansion at some point, but probably not this year. There's not a lot that we know that they're doing for fact in this year. So like that leaves a lot of room for hopes and wishes and guesses. I look, personally, if I had to take a bet on it, I don't think so. I would love for you to be right. Like I would love that. I would absolutely want that to release. Like I am rooting for you, but not putting my money down.
Just out of all of your takes, I hope this one is correct. But here's the thing, because let's uh, so the remake was made by Arte Piazza. I don't know if that's the like the correct pronunciation of the studio,
Yeah.
but they worked on they really like out of like like before the Super Mario RPG, they weren't playing they weren't working on released anything for like 4 years.
Yeah,
So
and
they
most of their
did
work I think it's mostly support studio work, right? Like they do remasters and ports.
yeah. yeah, so they helped with the definitive edition of Dragon Quest 11. They did the remake of Dragon Quest, or the remake, but like the remaster of Romancing Saga 3,
Yep.
and that was in 2019. And so like to me, especially knowing that they haven't worked on anything with Dragon Quest since then, what else are they doing?
Sure.
What else are they doing
Yeah.
there?
I mean, there was a whole worldwide pandemic that like wrecked everyone's productivity
That's
right
true.
after
That's true.
2019.
That's
But
true. That's true.
like, still, there's been time, and like, yeah, it'd be
Yeah. So
cool.
that is a Square. I don't know if they're owned by Square, but that is a company that
They work a lot with
works
Square. They are
intimately with
private, but
Square.
yeah.
That's like, hey, what if it's this, or what if a sequel to Live Alive? Not this studio, but like a sequel to Live Alive?
Yeah. Oh, I
That's
mean, look, if we
possible.
want to talk things that Square Enix could do for Switch 2, because like they're going to, like, look,
Well,
it
I think we're gonna get at least one major Square game that's Switch exclusive next week.
yeah, I think that's yeah, I'd say that's very possible. Yeah, I think maybe not at this presentation, but we'll learn more about Dragon Quest 1 and 2 at some point, and then
Yes,
there's some
that's
kind
true.
of Switch 2 specific, because like Square Enix has been buddying up a lot with Nintendo. I mean, like every Nintendo Direct will have multiple Square Enix titles, and that could be like the only third party company getting representation, or at least major one, right? Um, yeah, I mean another I'm having a blank right now. But yeah, Octopath, Bravely Default, that team, Asano, like another
Asano,
Asano title, like certainly makes sense. A timed
which
exclusive of something could make sense.
which
I
to
mean,
me, I think the most likely thing is Live Live 2. Or it's something that like it's something completely new. It's something like under the same kind of thing as Octopath and Triangle Strategy, where the logo is super straightforward but also really cool, like Octopath
yeah,
Traveler and Triangle Strategy were. But
I could see a return to Bravely because they handed off two, but two was also kind of weird because we already had a two, which was Bravely second. It's a whole thing.
yeah,
Um, I could see a return to Bravely. It's been a little bit.
that's
Um,
disappointing though. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to be a Bravely Default hater or anything like that, but like um
it sounds
when
like you're
Bravely
being a
Default
Bravely Default hater.
no, no, it's just like it's just like I think that there is a specific audience for Bravely Default, and I want to play those games. I want to play those games, but I think that there is like a very like dedicated fan base for those games. But I don't think that that is a game that is going to get people to buy Switch 2s to buy that game, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Yeah,
And
but I
also,
mean,
I don't think that needs to be a Switch 2 only game. Like that could totally be on the Switch cross gen. Yeah, and like granted, I think really any of the Team Asano games are like could be like that.
yeah,
But you know, it depends on they might make that hard call where they're just like, hey, we're just gonna make this Switch 2 and we hope that people come for it. But I just don't think in that hypothetical that Bravely Default 3 or Bravely Second 2 is going to be the games for that.
sure. Yeah, we'll see. Or yeah, or as you said, something entirely new is a possibility.
Do you think this is crazy? This is crazy. It's not going to happen. But do you think we get do you think we see Dragon Quest 12? Do you think we see Dragon
I've
Quest
seen a
12
lot
next
of
week?
people hope that. I've seen a lot of people hope that. I've seen that wish that like, hey, that'd be a great time to like announce like finally like bring it back, show it again.
It
Um,
would. It
yeah,
would.
it would. It would be cool. Um, jeez. I don't want to just like say no to every cool idea you're bringing up because again, I agree. And all of this would be fantastic. Um, I I think 12 is a little further out. I have no answer for this other than vibes. Like no
Yeah.
qualifier other than just like I don't know, just the vibes don't feel like they're here yet. But I yeah,
Sorry. Just like the vibes thing is just like, oh no, the vibes aren't here.
I don't. They're not in the ether yet. I don't know, man.
I don't think that I don't if it is shown, I do not think it comes out this year.
Sure.
I just think that like it would be a really great kind of what you said, a great place to do a re-reveal and be like, hey, here is actual gameplay. Here's what the hero looks like. Like
Right.
things like very like base level stuff to get people excited. Give us a taste of like the combat. Because if I remember correctly, they say that they really want to rework the combat in 12.
It's
I want
yeah.
to know what that looks like for a series that is so known to have like that combat. What is the updated version of that look like?
Yeah, everyone really clung to statements made when 12 was first revealed about how they wanted to like shake things up and do things different. And I think the wording was like to tell a more adult story or to do something a little darker. And
mhm.
it was one of those things where it sounded significant enough to where it could mean major changes, but it also doesn't really tell us what those changes would be. So
Yeah.
that's been a lingering question for a while of just like what does 12 actually look like? Like what does this mean? What are you making? Um yeah. It'd be cool.
What other third parties we think might show up in a significant capacity?
What's Capcom got going on? Because I mean Capcom's had a
Yo,
relationship. Oh, where are we going? What did
new
Make Your
A-
Train do?
new new Ace Attorney?
That would make sense, right? Like that's like if there's any Capcom property that I associate with Nintendo more than any other system, it's Ace Attorney. Like that's it. That series has gone multi-plat now, but like that's a Nintendo series as far as my brain is concerned.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that would be the place to make that announcement if they were working on a new one. Like Great Ace Attorney was fantastic. I want more. It's been a bit. So
All, all right. Now let me cook for a second because now I'm kind of like I've kind of thought about a few things that kind of make me excited. So here's some things that I want to throw out at you. For one is just straightforward. I think we're definitely going to see that new Professor Layton game.
oh, for level 5? Yeah.
Yeah, that's but what about more from level 5? What if one, let's get an updated look at Deca Police.
Well, okay, so
You
here's the
know,
question though, right? Like, because those are both, we know those are Switch 1 games. So, like, are you saying that, like, those get re revealed with, like, a Switch 2 version, or are you just saying we're going to get news about those soon? Because I feel like the Switch 2 presentation is probably going to be focused on stuff for that platform, right? Like, original
yes,
Switch is not the home for that.
yes, but Professor Layton is also going to be a cross-gen game. There's no way that's a Switch 2 exclusive.
Oh, I mean, I don't, my question is, why do you think it's coming to Switch 2?
Because why not?
I mean, it
Like
will by backwards
like like
compatibility to Switch
like
1.
Nintendo basically like saved level 5 to a certain extent.
Sure.
Um and so they probably were like, "Hey, plan for this game to be on Switch 2." Um and work on it, but like this game we want it to be cross-gen.
Yeah, maybe. Look, I believe that
And also,
more. I believe that more for Deca Police because I feel like Deca Police needs more power from what little snippets we've seen of it. Um,
oh, like but also here's the thing too, like cuz again, like level 5 is in a really weird place, right? Where and still kind of it is and it isn't, but like it was in a weird place where it's like, hey, we're not basically localizing games anymore because we don't have the money to do so.
yeah,
And then Nintendo kind of saved them with like publishing these games. Deca Police, I don't believe is Nintendo published, but Professor Layton is one of them, and that really helped Level 5 out. Um, and so like I think that Professor Layton is going to be cross-gen, but it's still going to be shown at the at the presentation. I think I would love to get an updated look at Deca Police. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but also here's a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive for you, Kevin. You ready for this one? Nino Kuni 3. Nino Kuni 3, baby. We're gonna and this is a 100% pipe dream shit.
Yeah, no,
Like just
you are pulling this one. You were
no,
saying
this
left
is
field earlier. This is not even in the field anymore. This is
no, yeah, this
this is the strip mall down the street.
no, this is hopes and dreams type shit. Where like this game, they'll announce this game. It ain't coming out anytime soon, but they announce it at the Switch 2 presentation, and it comes out in like 3 years. I don't know.
Uh yeah. Pipe dream. I don't know. I like
What would you do in the scenario that all of these like kind of like left field or just completely out there predictions come true?
Oh, I mean, I would
What-
celebrate that we're getting that many RPGs like right away. Oh, incredible! Like, great.
you would literally be like, "Yo, can you say on the podcast that you want this so it happens?"
Actually, wait, real quick, just in case somehow this does happen. So going back to Capcom, obviously Breath of Fire 6, actual
Yes, no,
6, not
no.
that mobile game from whatever they did.
That would be great. As I want to play those games eventually, but I think I have all of them. I have the first two on SNES, and then I have 3 and 4 on my Vita. I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yes, I believe. I don't
Um,
know if they're still on the store, but I'm pretty sure they were both listed on the Vita store at one point. Yeah.
I definitely purchased them. Yeah. But I do want to play that series, and I would love for that series to continue. And I still think it's going to happen because Onimusha and
No,
what was the
Capcom's
other
bringing
one?
stuff back right now. Capcom's
Yeah.
bringing
Hmm.
stuff back. We're
Hmm.
getting a new Onimusha. We're getting a new. Well, they're not actually the company making it, but they're working with Clovers to make the next
Yeah.
uh,
Okami. Yep.
Okami. Yeah,
There it is.
like they are bringing back IPs. Like that is for sure. That's just
Oh,
definitely the one that I think there's the least faith in right now, as much as we want it.
the other thing I was going to mention, not level 5 related, but came to mind at the same time. Astral Chain 2.
I'm down. Guy who led that left platinum, right? Is that?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that
The
doesn't
guy,
mean
the
it
direct.
doesn't have to have him. Like that's
Yes.
not how that works. I'm just saying, like,
Yes.
it would be potentially different, or yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. The director left. But I think that Nintendo basically said like, "Hey, we want to make another one of these."
Yeah.
So I could see it happening because
Yeah.
it'll be exclusive to the platform.
I'd enjoy it. I thought the first Astral Chain was fantastic. It's an
I
IP I'm
haven't
going to
finished
see
it, but
more of.
I haven't finished it, but I enjoyed what I played of it. It's really good.
It's good stuff.
Um, is there anything else that we're missing that we should
Well, we haven't
potentially?
really talked like if we're okay. So look, it's just how things are. I feel like with Nintendo and also with this podcast, we're focused primarily on Japanese devs and what Japanese devs might bring to it. So
Sure.
we haven't touched on Sega yet. Sega Atlas, if you want to do the full title there.
Mm,
What could there be involvement there? You know, do we get is it time yet for another Olympic Games? What's going on with that?
I think they stopped making those.
Oh, is that
I
just
think
dead?
that would
Okay.
they said that like that was going to be the last one.
In which case, still Sonic stuff. Because how long are we usually between on Sonic games? Because the last one was 22?
2020.
22
Oh.
for Frontiers.
Oh, I think you're talking about Olympic sports. I'm
Oh, no,
sorry.
no, no. Just Sonic
Oh
in
yeah,
general.
Frontiers,
Sonic in general.
2022. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Frontiers was
yeah.
22. Uh, Forces before that was 2017. So 5-year gap. So,
Yeah,
still a
but
little too early.
I would say Shadow is under that umbrella. Shadow Generations.
Oh, sure. In which that would be the most recent release then. Yeah, because that
Yeah.
was last year. Um,
Yeah.
or was that just early this year? I've lost track
That
of
was
Sonic.
October last year.
October last
October
year. Okay.
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so still possibly a little early. I mean, that is also like a remaster with more content, a healthy amount more content, but
Yeah, it was a new game with a remaster of Sonic Generations.
yeah,
So yeah, I would consider that a 3D Sonic game in the same vein. Yeah, I don't see a major Sonic presence. If it's anything, it's going to be Sonic Team Racing
yeah.
or the Sonic the Cross Worlds or whatever. which looks really cool,
No,
by
I
the
do want to
way.
see more
Like
of that. I would love
the
to see
more
more
I've
of the cast, like show roster that isn't
mm,
just Sonic, because supposedly it's going to be Sega, like Sega wide, not just.
actually, there is one thing that I think could potentially happen,
Okay, based
and
on your
this
left
isn't
field calls,
just
are we about to drop another? Are we about to say Skies of Arcadia 3?
oh, actually though, like Skies of Arcadia remaster.
That would be
You don't
cool.
think that that would be really cool?
Yeah, I think it would be cool. I don't know if they're investing in that, but
I do appreciate how level-headed you are because I'm the one that's just like, yo, what if
yeah.
this?
No,
And
it's a
letting
good
them
dynamic.
dream
We
of
need like,
dreams.
look, you need to have, yeah. We can't just both be saying shit. Like, we need one of us to just say, one of us needs to just drop the out of pocket ideas, and then the other one goes, "That'd be cool."
I don't know. Um, but I think realistically,
Uh huh.
I would not be surprised if we got. It's actually it's kind of hard simply because I because Shadow Generations did technically have a remaster of Sonic Generations, but I think that the next big like remaster that's going to happen is Sonic Heroes. I think we're going to get a Sonic Heroes remaster soon.
Mm.
I don't know when that's going to be, and like granted that could totally be a cross-gen title. But if they wanted, if Nintendo's like, hey, we want something Sonic, that will get people excited, Sonic Heroes, baby.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, yeah, but outside of that, like, I mean, again, I still we talked about this a little bit in the Discord, and this is something that we actually forgot to cover in the news. I meant to put in the news. I knew I forgot something. But there was a domain registration for a Persona 4 for a Persona
Oh,
4,
yes.
and the
Persona
same
4
time,
RE. RE was there. Yep.
Persona 4 RE. Um, obviously Persona 4 a remake, rewind, if you will,
Or rerun.
um, or rerun. Yes, um, my bet's on rewind.
That's fair.
And the rerun's good though.
Yeah,
Rerun's good.
yeah, I think both work.
And so historically, when the Persona 3 RE domain was made, 3 months later is when they announced the game. Um, and so people are like, "Oh, what if they're showing it off at the Switch 2 presentation?" I still think it's going to be at the Xbox showcase, like Persona 3 was. I think Sega and Xbox have been tight like that because Xbox is basically giving them free money to be the main advertising platform for their games. And Atlas is like, this probably isn't going to change much, but we'll take free money. So that they've been doing that.
Yeah.
But on the off chances that it does show up at the Switch 2 presentation, it would be cool.
Yeah. And there's a couple things Atlas could do, right? Like, it's really interesting how when it comes to branding stuff, I feel like Persona, absolutely, they've been leaning a little bit into the Xbox branding the last couple of years. Metaphor, obviously, that was very heavily tied to Xbox as far as the marketing goes. Um, I feel like SMT though has mostly stuck with Nintendo. Like even though
Yeah.
5 went multiplat, and so that raises the question of like, is there anything SMT related? Obviously, we've talked about Dreams of Tokyo Mirage Sessions again, but there's all those DS games that are trapped that could use remasters or re-releases. I don't think we're looking at something like say SMT6 around the corner, but as far as just using stuff that's already out there,
Like a 4 remaster or something like
sure,
that.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Tokyo Mirage, Tokyo Mirage Sessions getting another game. That is the most out there in the galaxy thing that we've said this entire podcast. Everything prior to this is more likely to happen than Tokyo Mirage Sessions 2, and it makes me so sad. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that's about it, right? Like, I because I don't think NIS is gonna have anything major. Maybe a Disgaea 8 announcement. I could see that happening, but they just had a whole showcase where they announced like 5 different games. Like that. I believe from what I know, they seem to be all completely new IP. So,
yeah.
uh,
I also think as while I do like NAS, I feel like they wouldn't show up unless like it's a very packed release lineup. Like, I feel I'm curious how many games we're gonna see at this reveal.
How long do you think the presentation is going to be, or did they say how long it's going to be?
I don't think they have. I was actually just looking that up because they said the start time at 6.
Because normally it's like 45, 50 minutes for big stuff like this, right?
Usually, I mean, it just depends on what they have to show. Like it depend.
Yeah.
Like for all we know, Nintendo could be like, "Hey, here's a look at the UI. It's going to be this price, releasing on this date. Here's Mario Kart 10." Later, like we just like we don't know what they're doing. Um,
That would
I
be
I
so fucked up.
I
That
assume we're
would
gonna
be
get
so
more of
messed
that.
up.
Yeah, that's like the worst case scenario. Uh I don't think it doesn't look like they've put an official timing to it. Um
Okay.
Based on the fact that I'm seeing 75 different YouTube videos all titled "How long will the Switch 2 Direct be?" Uh Guess 30 to 45 minutes. Like I feel like that's the safe range, right? Could be shorter depending on what they're actually going to talk about.
See, I think it's gonna be longer because they're also like gonna want to show off the console that and like features and stuff that I just think that it'll be longer. I think it'll be at least 45 minutes, maybe an hour long. But also who knows? I
Yeah.
could
Well,
also
to
just
to
be
be fair, the January Switch presentation was. Oh wait, no, wait, this is someone's video. Never mind. Where's the actual video? I'm trying to find the actual like original Nintendo presentation, but I'm only finding reaction videos and people recapping.
but that was like an event that they held, right? And they live streamed.
Yeah, they like directs were around, but they didn't like lean into directs being everything at that point. Like I'm honestly
Yeah.
kind of surprised they're calling the Switch 2 Direct. I would have thought they would have just called it a presentation, but they ended up going with the direct branding. Um, yeah, how long? See, Nintendo. It looks like they don't even have it anymore. They just have the playlist of all the trailers from it. Yeah,
Huh.
I don't remember how long that presentation was.
That's interesting. Um but yeah, I don't I think the Switch presentation will be like 45 minutes to an hour. At least, and, you know, it's always one of those things too with like Nintendo where they have a direct and you just want it to be as long as possible. You just want
Sure. Well, and it depends on
longer, more stuff.
how much they linger on stuff, right? Sometimes the direct format is so to the point. It's just like dense with info. You know, like there's not
Mhm.
breathing room. There's not like drawn out stuff. It's just like trailer, trailer, trailer. Here's a look at the stuff in depth. You know, here's what the UI looks like. Here's this feature. Here's how we're incorporating Mii's, whatever. Like, you know, it depends on the pacing of it as well, of course.
Yeah, and you actually brought up something that I do want to talk about I because people a lot of people have like just brought it up throughout the entire Switch's lifespan, and you know, unsurprisingly, Nintendo really didn't do anything about it. Um, what do you hope like to expect from the Nintendo Switch 2's UI?
I want more. Like I
Yeah.
like I don't I've never really cared for the Switch 2 UI or the original Switch UI. It's like I get why it's the way it is because it was a bit of a course correction from the problems that were the Wii U user experience. Uh, and I'm not saying that I want to go back to that level of pain, but I just want a little more personality. At minimum, like please bring back themes or color options or something. Like give me a little personalization aside from white mode or black mode. Like I
No, there are themes, Kevin. White and black. Come on, those are
God
themes.
damn it.
We got
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see the UI just be something a little more alive feeling. I just want a bit more personality to it than just like the lineup and the click. I do think the Switch sound effects are always great. Like I think that was something they actually did really good with.
Mhm.
Um, but visually, I just have never really loved the UI experience on it. Um, as part of that, I would love to see them incorporate again some kind of interesting app experiences because that's something that kind of died on the Switch compared to what we had on like Wii U, and the DS line of systems. Um, you know, incorporating Mii's in some kind of interesting way, or just like having something back. Like I don't know, bring back Street Pass. Just like like
Mm,
give some kind of personality to the system beyond just like this is how I launch my games. Cuz like that's fine for a very traditional console, but that's not what I want Nintendo systems to be. Like I want them to really kind of stand out in that regard.
yeah, it was also weird that like a few a couple of years ago maybe, like we finally got like some video apps to the console like Hulu, and then like
Well,
that
those
was
came like
kind of it.
yeah, those were like years late, right? Like we eventually got like a
Yeah,
decent number
long
of
time.
them, but like we still don't have a lot. And the first ones that got added were like 3 years in or something. Like it was getting into the life cycle, pretty deep.
Yeah, so it would be really nice if like within the first, easily within the first year, like the Switch 2 has a has like all of them in there. Like I don't know the ins and outs of that process, but it just feels kind of inexcusable at this point in 2025.
I personally don't really care if I'm being honest, but yeah,
It's
I get it.
it's not even a I care thing, but it's just more of just like a general criticism. Like it's just a
Yeah,
general like thing like, hey, like
I guess
what?
where I come from on that a little bit is just like everything runs every streaming app now. Like I feel like there are so many ways for me to watch a thing. It's kind of nice for the Switch to mostly be a game system, you know? And so when I think about
Sure.
additional app level experiences, I don't necessarily mean I want another way to launch Netflix. I just want like actually interesting things unique to the console and its own user experience.
I
I
agree.
get the
I agree.
popularity of streaming stuff, and I understand why. Like, why isn't that on there? Because it's on everything else. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. I would rather them have like something like Street Pass or something in the same vein that like encourages people to interact with each other like outside of the game and all that. Um oh, what was the other thing I was going to say? I completely forgot. Oh well. Yeah, but regarding the UI. Yeah, no, you make a good point with the UI. I do like the sound effects like you said, but man, it just like the fact that they never updated that over the past 8 years is crazy. Like I love my Switch, but every time I turn that on, I'm just like, man, this just feels like such an old device. And I'm not saying that that's particularly bad, but I just when you compare it to currently the Xbox Series consoles, which and like specifically like the PS5, and I'm more of an Xbox guy, but like the PS5 like feels like premium and like feels like just like the general minute to minute use of like the UI outside of your game and things like that. It just feels so nice. It has like this kind of like uh this weight to it
mhm.
when you do things that like the Switch just doesn't really have. Um, and I hope that whatever the next Switch 2 UI looks like, I hope it's like night and day improvement. But yeah, I think that's everything that we can talk about right now regarding the Switch 2 until the presentation next week. If this Switch Direct that happens, that's rumored to happen this week happens, there will be another episode, probably on Friday, so the day after tomorrow. If not, we will have our episode live talking about the Switch 2 presentation. Um, the same time as always, every week on Thursdays. Uh, and yeah, that's everything. That's Kevin. That's Kevin. I'm Cameron, and we'll catch you later.
Later.